Hi, it's Shelby from Turn Sounds. Replace your toothbrush every 3 to 4 months. Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist.
And I'm Abby, a clinical nutritionist. And this is the Move Your Mind podcast,
where we talk all things diet, exercise and well-being and back it up with evidence
from our Bachelor of Health Science degrees. So welcome and let's get into it.
Hello, welcome back to the Move Your Mind podcast. Today we are talking about your daily step count and whether you really need to get 10,000 steps in every day.
It does sound like a lot.
Sounds like a lot,
steps.
Doesn't it?
And it's the good old buzz number these days. Everyone with their Apple Watches competing. Like, have you done 10,000?
Have you done your 10,000?
It's a good initiative, but
it's not bad.
The question is it really necessary?
Yes, exactly. So we're going to have a little bit of a talk about that, tell you why or why not it might not be necessary. We're going to start off with, that song, The Proclaimers, I would walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more.
Yeah.
So,
just a bit. Okay.
Your typical brisk walk is 100 steps per minute.
Okay. So if you're going, if you're walking for, how many minutes would you have to do to get 10,000 steps?
Oh, well, 10,000. I think I can do that too. But 500 miles is 1,056,000 steps. Which would take you 10,560 minutes to walk, which is 176 days or 7.3 days to walk 500 miles. So if this dude, Proclaimers, walked 500 miles and then 500 more, it'd take him like 2 weeks of brisk walking just to walk 1,000 miles.
And that is why the recommendations aren't 500 miles.
Anyway,
so you're wrong.
Cover that, thanks.
Fun facts, I like it.
But, so just while we're on that thing, so the typical cadence of 100 steps per minute, if you did half an hour of walking, you get 3,000 steps in.
Oh, yeah, duh.
So,
I should have been able to do that maths in my head.
So, 90 minutes, 100 minutes of walking would get you your 10,000, roughly, at a brisk pace.
I actually find that's quite reflective of, like, my Apple Watch. If I go for a half an hour walk, it's about 3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where did it all come from? Where did 10,000 steps?
Yeah, has there been like clinical trials on like people walking and seeing their health benefits?
So originally, no.
That's such a good question.
The story is that it was a Japanese marketing campaign for a pedometer just before the 1964 Tokyo Olympic Games. And so they...
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but they called this pedometer... Manpokai?
No idea. Let's go with that.
The man means 10,000, po means steps, and the kai at the end means meter. So it's the name of this pedometer meant like 10,000 steps meter. Like as a counter.
Yeah.
And so that seems where it's come from.
Actually.
Yeah. And
what
then just
heck?
stuck and worked its way into mainstream knowledge, and you just should get 10,000 steps in each day.
That's actually insane.
Very effective marketing campaign.
And that no one's questioned that before?
Well, so now they have.
Okay.
So then now since we've done trials and research into what does that mean, is that reasonable, what does it get you walking that much, what are people actually walking, what are average kind of things.
That's so good. I love that.
I know. So weird. So first I thought we could start with the benefits of walking and why it's even a topic, why we should even walk.
Yeah.
And then we can go into bits and pieces
because it is something that's pretty, I think, overrated, walking and travelling on foot.
Underrated?
Yes.
Like it's better, yeah. No, you're going against everything I'm about to say.
I'm just about to start a debate right here, right now. No, it's underrated.
Thank you. I would agree.
Yeah, with our society of cars and office jobs.
Quick and get there now and
yes,
get there as fast as you can.
People
Absolutely.
definitely don't walk enough. And I think that's changing because of the great marketing campaign, so props to that.
Exactly. And things like smartwatches becoming popular with all of that really. But we'll talk about that.
Yes.
So, Heart Foundation reckons that walking is one of the most popular forms of activity in Australia.
Okay.
Which I guess is reasonable, but yeah.
I feel like, over if you include every single age
if you're talking
bracket.
Cycling and swimming and boxing and I think, well, there you go.
Yeah, it's probably the most accessible and easiest and most comfortable.
Exactly. Which are all the major benefits of walking. It's low impact. You don't really need any equipment except maybe shoes and clothes if you're outside.
Don't walk naked, guys. From Move Your Mind.
It's free. You can do it any time of day. You can do it on your own pace. If you are currently inactive, then as little as like 75 minutes per week of walking will see improved fitness levels.
Yeah.
Plus reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, improved bone density, improved alertness, stress relief that help your mental health, reducing excess body fat. There are even research papers that show reduced back pain and disability if you walk more often. Muscular strength and power. You can manage blood pressure, blood cholesterol. So all of this is just physical activity, really. Like if you do physical activity, you get these benefits. But then absolutely in walking.
Can I throw you a question?
Absolutely.
Like mechanisms behind, steps, walking and reducing cholesterol.
Yes, I think, this is just me putting together thoughts I have.
Yes.
From just so walking in this respect, we're talking moderate intensity at least, if not vigorous intensity.
Yeah.
And then just the fact that gets your heart beating, increased heart rate, which would have a benefit on stroke volume and your cardiac output, which then helps you kind of clear arteries from like a good blood pressure point of view, just from like an efficient system.
Okay.
And then I think it would just be that turnover. And then like nitric oxide. No, nitrogen, what is it?
Nitric oxide for vasodilation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As far as levels from that you get from exercise being beneficial for cholesterol. I didn't look entirely into
nitrogen oxide and cholesterol. That's something that I would even have to look into.
I just know from like an artery point of view.
But
so
that could contribute to like the blood flow creating more space.
Yeah,
maybe nitric oxide is more in relation to cardiovascular disease.
Yes, okay. Rather than
I could
cholesterol.
imagine. Yeah. Yeah. Still.
Okay, I can look more into it. I didn't look entirely into that. It wasn't my question.
Sorry, that's what I said. Like, can I throw this at you? No, but I like the stroke volume, cardiac output.
Yeah,
that's
just from like a healthy
feasible.
heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also the debate that if you walk more, you're usually a healthier person, and healthier people make other good decisions, which is probably diet related, which could be and then you get into this
what type of habits does increased exercise have overall? That's probably reducing your total cholesterol.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or blood cholesterol. Yeah.
Completely.
Cool. All right.
Back on topic.
10,000 steps just kind of came up. And then research since has gone, well, what are people doing and what are the benefits of what we've been doing? So broadly, it's kind of a little bit is good, but more is better when it comes to walking.
Okay. So what's a little bit?
A little bit is like 5,000 steps a day, and you're still considered sedentary.
And that's saying that you do no other physical activity?
Yeah, that's saying that you have low physical activity levels if you're sedentary. So 5,000 is low. If you only do 5,000 steps a day, it's been a low physical activity day.
Yeah.
Which is where it gets a bit funny, because if a half-hour walk gets you 3,000 steps and we're saying find your 30, but 3,000 steps is less than 5,000, so it's like this integrated approach where like, yes, go for a walk, but yes, be active throughout the rest of your day as well. You can't just go on your half-hour walk, get your 3,000 steps, and then sit down all day, because you'll still be in the sedentary category.
Which I agree with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So 10,000 steps is pretty generally accepted. Like, people do still say that, and that's pretty okay. It's relatively reasonable. It's a decent walk each day, or like you have to have an active job. Yeah. I feel like you have to try to get 10,000.
You do. Yeah. From my own experiences, when I had like 9-hour uni days, I would walk from the train station to my uni campus, which is probably like 15-minute walk, and then I'd do the walk back, and then at each break in between the 3 hours, so twice I'd do like 2 laps around the oval, and that hit my 10,000.
Exactly.
So you do really have to think about it.
You have to try, but also that's not ridiculous for you to have done in that day.
And it was good. Like, you need that.
Exactly. It was so good. So different evidence has been found on different populations. So older women kind of need a minimum of 4,400.
It's quite specific.
I know. And then for every 1,000 steps after that, their risk of mortality, so their risk of death, decreased by 15%. So if you just walk an extra 1,000 steps, you're 15% less likely to die.
How do they figure that?
So
what was the population
group?
group?
So this was older women. I can't exactly remember the numbers. I'm thinking 65 plus.
Yeah.
And it was more of a longitudinal study where they gave them whatever monitor that did steps and pace and intensity of walking, and then just rechecked in with them however many years later and saw that however many had died. And that was more correlated to 2,700 steps was on the low side, and they were less healthy than the ones who did 4,400 was like your minimum.
Yeah.
And then after 7,500 steps, the benefits kind of leveled off. So while there still are benefits for doing more, we've kind of found this roof of about
like
7,000 where your
benefits don't really exceed exponentially from there. It's kind of like a cap.
Yeah, your effort for reward is a little bit more level.
Yes.
So definitely for older women, if you get 7,500, you're doing pretty good. That was one of the recent ones that came out. That's why it's so specific, because it only just came out, which was really cool. Then it kind of has a generic most adults, and that's where I got that 5,000 being sedentary from. So it reckons 5,000 is sedentary, up to 7,500 is a low active category, up to 10,000 you're still only moderately active, and then 12,500 steps a day you considered highly active.
Okay, and that's not in combination with, resistance training, right? Because that would be nuts, doing 12,000 steps a day and then doing an hour resistance training.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean, I've probably done that before,
that's highly active. Like, I would put that as that's a highly active individual. And then if you get your 10,000 and your resistance training, then you're active to moderately active, which I think is pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
And then different studies found that on average, young adults are getting between 7,000 and 13,000. Which is a good sign. I didn't think it would be that high. I thought it would be all doom and gloom going, people aren't walking, we're only getting 3,000 steps in per day.
Yeah.
So it didn't look too bad, actually.
No. That does surprise me, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I had to make a big effort to get in my steps.
Yeah. But if we're thinking young adults, more like there are more ratios of athletes, and there would be
school
the
sports,
uni goers
things like
who
that.
have to take public transport,
Going
which
between
just kind
classes.
of pushes you into more steps anyway. So it wasn't too bad. But aim for 7,000 each day.
Yeah.
If you can get in a half-hour walk, you're getting about 3,000.
Yeah.
At moderate intensity. Don't go for a leisurely stroll and be like, I got it.
I've done my exercise.
Because while in the women, it didn't really matter. Intensity didn't make a difference. Like the volume was what mattered.
Yeah.
What we're wanting in that Find Your 30 is intensity.
Yes. So that's another part of the guidelines. Like, they do the steps, but then your classic 30 minutes of moderate
intensity. Yep, which is where you could still carry on a conversation, but you couldn't sing. It's called a talk test, where you can still talk, but you can't sing. Is moderate intensity. If you can't even talk, then it's vigorous.
Okay.
Or you can't finish a sentence,
Yeah,
when
that's
you're
fair.
talking with your friend and you're trying to get
when you're going up a hill.
And it's more than likely vigorous activity that you're doing right then.
There's a hill near my house that I walk the dog up with my mum, actually. And, we both get to the hill and, the conversation slowly starts to fade.
You can always tell.
And I'm like, I need to act less puffed right now because I should not be puffed.
But it's okay. You're having increased demand from your body. It's okay. So, I hope that made sense.
It's super interesting. I love where the 10,000 steps came from.
Nowhere.
That's classic.
But it's pretty good, actually. It probably came from somewhere. They would have had a rough guess. And then now we've been able to, because our ability to track steps is so much better, we've got more and more evidence saying that actually it's not too bad. But it might be unreasonable for you. If you don't walk really at all, 10,000 steps is too many for you. And that's where a little but more is better.
And then you've got to think, with everyone's crazy busy lifestyles, maybe people don't have that much time to go for a long walk and get their steps in. So my question to you as an exercise physiologist, and I already know what your answer is going to be, is if people have an hour to exercise or
Yes.
30 minutes to do
Yes.
their moderate
Yeah.
activity,
Yeah.
walk or resistance train?
I know that you would think I would just say resistance training, which, good. But who's the person?
Yeah. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
their life? Do they need that chill half an hour outside to talk to their partner because they don't see them any other time?
Yes.
Can they benefit from a low impact, low risk activity that doesn't require anything from them?
Where do they start from in terms of their exercise levels?
Yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
potentially walking has easier mental health benefits from like a maybe easier to tap into. Like not everyone loves a resistance training session,
Yes.
but I feel like the majority of people could go for a walk with their dog, with their podcast, with their music, with their friend, and it would be a good
less
time.
barriers to actually achieving
Absolutely,
that goal.
that is
yeah.
right. So if we are busy, if we're tired, if we're stressed, if I'm not really wanting to add too much to their day, a walk. Really, my answer is both,
Yeah.
but just to show the other side of it as well.
Yeah.
It's not useless. Like it actually is really nice to get your steps in.
Mm-hmm.
So why not do both or alternate your days or
alternate. would be
rearrange your day so that you can get a few more steps in.
great. Wake up that
things
little
like
bit
that.
earlier, half an hour earlier.
Yeah.
Actually is the best. I've been doing that lately.
Well
Going
done.
for a walk before I get my day started.
Well done. Yeah.
And nature has a great impact in mental health, doesn't it?
And I think that's one of the biggest components is just stand outside, which we've definitely said on this podcast before.
Yeah.
Stand outside for a moment, breathe some fresh air, hear
Getting some vitamin
birds.
D,
Yeah.
that probably has some thing with the bone density with the older female population.
Absolutely, yeah.
Vitamin D
yeah.
and
And it is
calcium.
enough impact to have a bone density from like a
Yeah.
physiological point of view as well. But yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
I like it.
I know.
So aim.
It also depends.
Here we go.
If someone has sore knees or a bad shoulder or something, then I could probably fight for resistance training a bit heavier as well. So it depends on what they want. If they're just after activity, then I'd see what their interests are.
Yeah.
But if they have a specific ailment or even maybe a particular disease, I could probably fight for resistance training.
That's like me personally.
Yeah.
If I have an hour to exercise, I will go for strength training because of my scoliosis. Spine walking can kind of aggravate pelvic issues and things like that.
Yeah. So where are your priorities?
Yeah.
And spend time on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just I talked to my mum about it actually because she will walk as her form of exercise. And I'm like, that's great. I'd never discourage it. But then
Where's the
after
other
talking
stuff?
to you, I'm like, it'd probably benefit to, twice a week to lift some weights or something to add in a little bit more strength, given that there's no health issues in the background. It's only going to do good.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Something else I want to bring up is that I did see that potentially counting your steps. So if we're like, all right, now I need to get 10,000, I need to count them. Counting your steps can actually make it a less enjoyable activity. So
Yeah.
I saw things from both sides. So counting it, this like personal quantification is what they called it, can actually decrease continued engagement in the activity. But also I read things that said monitoring can actually increase your daily steps, which I can absolutely understand because I know when I ever have to do like a diet diary or whatever, I end up eating way better because I'm like, oh, I got to show that I'm doing the right things here.
Yeah.
So I can absolutely see how as soon as you start monitoring something, it becomes a bigger part of your life and you would take more steps.
I think that depends on the individual. There's definitely some people that would use, the numbers of motivation. Like, yes, I'm going to feel good. Like 10,000, I've 7,000, whatever.
Yeah.
I hit that goal. But then
Exactly.
if you're pushing for the number, it's like, where do your intentions lie? And then if you're just pushing for the number, you're not actually enjoying the process.
Exactly. Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you don't make 10,000,
How
can
you
you
feel.
tolerate that? Yeah, exactly. What's that going to make you think? How's it going to make you feel? So that's another supporting evidence for 7,000 steps and not 10, or just like as many as you can get in, because it's not so maybe harsh on your self-esteem if you keep failing to make a certain number each day.
And look at where you're at too. Like, track it for a day and be like, oh, okay, on this day, how many did I get? Can I increase that? What little habits can I adapt to push that number a little bit higher?
Yeah. Or if by the end of the day, if you've only taken 2,000 steps, maybe go for a walk. If that means you've had a busy day because you worked a lot, maybe a walk over your strength
Clear
training
mind.
session. I this
Yeah.
is where the rationale kind of can come in.
Yeah, completely.
But you can track your steps. Obviously, our phones usually have some kind of inbuilt thing.
They do
There
these
are
days.
Lots of free apps even you can
Mm.
get. Smartwatches.
Yeah.
You can still get really cheap pedometers that will track your steps just fine.
Mm-hmm.
The
So many
Qantas
different ways.
Wellbeing app can
Oh.
earn you Qantas points for every step you take.
And I think, there's another place that starts with A. I can't remember off the
Yeah,
top of my
there's
head.
another one.
Yeah, another app that you get certain benefits
Yeah.
for how many steps or how
Yeah.
much activity you do.
Which is
That's
really
so
cool.
cool.
We did at uni, the whole cohort was on this app.
Really?
And we joined like little teams and stuff. And
That's
tried to get as
amazing.
many steps. And our team that joined together, we always parked far away just because it was free and we didn't want to pay for parking. So we were always winning because we had to walk like 20 minutes to our car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything to
Right.
win. I'd be the exact same.
Exactly.
I'd walk from 40 minutes away just to win.
So yeah, park further away to get more steps.
Mm.
Take the earlier bus stop off, train
Yeah.
platform off. Like that's what I used to do. I used to like get off a train early and like
Mhm.
cross over to the other one and catch
Yep.
the next one or whatever.
Yeah.
I park a little bit further away from work and from
Yeah.
the shops, depending on how much I have to buy.
Yeah, no,
So I
hey.
have to walk further. Walk during lunch if you have enough time.
Yeah.
Even just taking frequent walk breaks during work. We said this in I think is sitting new to the new smoking.
Yeah.
From just don't sit down for too long. Get
Yeah.
up every half an hour, every hour, go for a little bit of a walk.
Take the steps.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Old classic.
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of walking groups, actually. I did a quick Google for Perth, Western Australia, where we
Yeah.
are, and there are so many walking groups from various
Oh.
ages, and so I didn't know they existed, and more than likely there'll be one in your area if you
Mm.
want that
That's
kind
awesome.
of social aspect of
Yeah.
join a walking group.
That's
which is very
amazing.
fun. But yeah, that's really what I had. It was kind of pretty straightforward one today, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Still very interesting. I like it. So set small goals that are, individualized for your state, where you're at.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up if you don't hit the 10,000 because it was actually created by some Japanese ad. I will actually never forget that. That's
I know,
amazing.
It's so good. There's probably a little bit more to it than that. But that's like the story you see. If you search where did 10,000
Yeah.
steps come from, that one is just everywhere.
That's great.
So yeah, maybe see where you are at. Like track your steps on your current normal dates, and then maybe see if you can improve from that.
Yeah.
Another way you can do it is by exercising. Oh, so
What do you know?
you may know about our new initiative, our plugged-in members, which is a way you can monetarily support us for this podcast. And
Mhm.
my workout for this week is a workout that gets you 1,500 steps if you do the workout. So
As well as some cool resistance exercises.
Yes, of course. 'cause
I've
I
seen
had
the
to-
program. It's really cool, guys. I'm actually probably going to do it.
I wanted to actually say, can we do it together? Because I haven't done it yet. I wanted to. I've set like a time challenge for everyone, so I
Yeah.
wanted to set our times on there as well.
Yes, I'm so down.
Yeah.
Yeah, plug
Cool.
in, guys.
All right,
and join the
um,
fun.
We have a new Instagram, moveyourmind.podcast.
Yes, that's what it is.
So head there now for any news on Move Your Mind.
Mhm.
Also head to turnsounds.com for any extra content
Yeah.
if you want to.
Cool new
Yeah.
website.
Also, like, you've probably seen it from last episode, but hi, you can watch us now.
Can you zoom in on my face?
I hope so.
Like The Office when they stare at the camera. Okay.
Thanks for listening,
Signing off.
guys. See you.